Today we are trying to do a little bit of a palette cleansing challenge here in the Likewhoa household because if you saw my last video, you saw things have been pretty grim around here in terms of book reading. And I think I just need to shake things up, feel like I'm making some progress and kind of just a reset, I guess, maybe is the way to think about it. So I am doing another one of my chopping block videos, try a chapter videos. But this one is not going to be the full oh, I try a chapter based on the ones I want to keep reading. They go into the vlog and I fully read all of them. The purpose of this challenge is purely to figure out if any of the books I pull are just immediate no's for me based on a chapter or two. Something I have learned about myself as a part of this TBR read down challenge where I'm really trying to read from my own TBR is that I really am a very writing dependent kind of reader. If I don't like the writing, I'm very unlikely to enjoy the book as a whole. Sometimes if it's a kind of easier book to get through, it's not enough of a barrier to keep me from going. But if it's a more literary book, if it's a longer book, if it's just a book that isn't sort of comfort reading to me, it's probably, I'm not going to give it more than 3, maybe 3.5, and it's probably just not worth reading. I have so many other things I'm trying to read. So, armed with that knowledge about myself, I am doing better in terms of when I acquire new books, trying to read the sample chapter before I buy it. I've gotten better about that in the last couple of months, but you know what? We can't always correct the issues of our past. Sometimes you don't want to get into the sunk cost fallacy of oh, I made this mistake and now I just have to live with it. I don't think that's the right approach. So I am going to go through my bookshelves and find all of the books that are not in a intrinsically comfort reading genre for me, that are by authors I have not tried before, so I do not know what the writing is like, that are not in a genre type that I just intrinsically will deal with it. I guess that kind of goes to comfort read, but I have a ton of isolated closed circle mysteries from authors I haven't read before. Those are not going to be included in this. Or if I have a project in mind for the book, then I'll just let that happen whenever the project happens. So those are kind of the criteria I've got in my head. And we're just going to go through. I'm hoping to find at least 20 books that meet these parameters. And best case scenario is I read them and all the writing is fine. My guess is that's not going to be the case. So I don't think that there's not really success or failure to this. Now that I'm thinking about this is purely just a cleansing exercise of my TBR and a reset exercise for myself. So with that in mind, let's start going around the house to all of the places I keep my TBR and figure out what's going to stay and what's going to go. Alrighty, so before I get my day fully going at work, I thought I would check in and let you guys know how all of this reading has gone. So I ended up pulling, I think, like 40-ish books. I think that means I've pretty much checked out the first chapter of most of the books that fell into the kind of like parameters I laid out. So there might be one or two left on my TBR that I just missed, but I think officially this counts as my kind of just gut check on my TBR. And really, when I was reading these, I sometimes didn't even make it through a full chapter. This was truly just like bare minimum, can I get on with the writing in this? And if I thought the answer was yes, I stopped reading pretty quickly. So actually the ones that I'm unhauling, I ironically read more of because read more of them to see if I actually thought I was going to vibe with it. So I'm not going to go through my impressions of every single book because that would just be far too long, but I'm going to tell you about the 3 standouts of like, ooh, I'm intrigued to read this, and one that I actually think I'm going to be like is going to be my next read because I think it's exactly what I need right now. And then I'll also go through the 8 books that are coming off of my TBR, and I'm unhauling most of these. So maybe we could do a couple of themes. Yeah, okay. So I unhauled 2, or like I'm getting rid of 2, either YA or reads like YA fantasies. Neither of which are badly written. This one actually, in fact, I really liked the writing, Raybearer by Jordan E. Fueco, and I've heard great things about this book and this author. Definitely this is one of those, like, dismissed without prejudice kind of court rulings because the writing was good. I just am trying to be more honest with myself. Like, I am struggling with fantasy, like, big fantasy in general right now. And I really haven't loved a YA fantasy in quite some time. I am still really enjoying middle grade fantasy, so for that reason, I still have some of that on my TBR. But YA fantasy just isn't really scratching the itch for me anymore. So that's really the only reason this one I'm unhauling. Also, it was a gift, which was nice, but I feel less bad. I'm like, oh, I didn't actually actively pick this. This one I did actively pick, and I can't quite tell if this is meant to be YA or adult. The writing in this one, though, is so melodramatic, and coupled with how long it is and it being the beginning of a series, I'm trying to live in the reality that I am struggling with long books these days, and I am struggling with fantasy in particular. That again, I keep saying I'm going to talk about this in a different video, and I will. I promise you I will. But, like, I am making some connections about the fact that I think high fantasy, I need to really change my approach with. So that is why Upon a Burning Throne is getting unhauled. I've heard good things about this from some people. Other people didn't like it. For me, it is purely the writing. The writing is just too melodramatic for my tastes. Which then leads into pretty much the theme of these next 4, all of which are mystery, all of which just were too melodramatic in terms of the writing. So this one, theme music, this is about a family annihilator and the one child who survived that. She's moving back into the house that happened in years later. Far too melodramatic of the writing. Same for Bitter Orange. I don't even know what this one is about. I didn't get far enough, but yeah. It just felt very overly mannered in a way that doesn't work for me in a mystery or thriller suspensey kind of book. Definitely same with this one, The Western Wind. I'd picked this up because it had won this prize I was interested in, and I should have known so I picked this up probably 4 or 5 years ago now, and it said, hailed as one of the UK's most exquisite stylists. And a stylist she is, and the style is not for me. So this one I noped out of very quickly. And then this one, so A Puzzle for Fools, this I picked up, I think, because I was at Parnassus, and anytime I'm at an independent bookstore, I do try to buy at least one thing. Nothing else was really hitting it for me, and this was the first of the Auto Penciler Presents that I had tried. And I've tried other ones since then and have enjoyed them, but this is about a guy who's in a sanitarium, and this would have been in like the first half of the 20th century. Some of the language around mental illness already was just kind of annoying me, so I guess this isn't really melodramatic. It's more just like, it's of its time in a particular way that I don't think I would find enjoyable, so I'm just not going to read it. But I am holding on to this because I do have a number of these and they look nice on my bookshelf. Same for The Once and Future King by T.H. White. This is a classic, so I'm holding on to it. It's not bad or badly written. It's just a little, it's a specific kind of older fantasy. And again, I'm struggling a lot with fantasy these days. This is a bind up, so this is not one big book, which I didn't realize. And I was like, do I really want to commit to reading a full series of this? Not really. And I don't know. I just don't think I'm going to get to this. And I think that's okay. I have it for reference. It is a classic, so for that reason I'm holding on to it in my collection, but yeah. And I got it, if you can see, major discount, so I also don't feel bad about it for that reason. And then finally, Friends Like These. This one I feel bad about because the writing is very, very nice, and I've had dinner with the author, who is also very nice. This is purely just a me thing. The writing is great, but it is YA mystery, and immediately these are teens that read like adults to me, which is a pet peeve of mine, and it just annoys me. Like, literally in the first chapter, I was like, oh, is she about to get engaged to this boyfriend? But like, they're teenagers, so like, and they go to this party. I don't know. I just like, it's very upper YA, which is just not really for me. So I think if you are an actual teen and you want something that's like aspirational, like verging into new adult, this would be a good tone, but it's not what I read YA for, and particularly YA mystery. So for that reason, I feel really bad about this, but very much like Raybearer, more just a reflection of like where I'm at in my reading journey, and very much nothing against the book or the author. So anyway, those were the 8 of the 40-ish ones I read that I think I can just take off my TBR and not have to worry about anymore. So that feels good. And then the 3 that I was most intrigued by, The First Sister by Lyndon Lewis. I wasn't sure how I was going to do with this because it's sort of like space drama, but this made me wonder if some of the issues I'm having with fantasy, I could like try getting more into some of these sci-fi series. And maybe it's different enough that I can get that kind of epic story, but with sci-fi. This one is, there's a main character who is in this order, and she thinks she's about to be able to like get out of it, and then at the last minute she can't. So she's stuck on this ship, she's stuck in the order. What's going to happen? So I'm very intrigued to see what happens next. Writing-wise, probably my favorite writing was How to Be Eaten by Maria Aldman. I will say I'll be curious to find out how I do with this in a full novel, because it is reading like some of my favorite short stories in terms of its writing style. But so I don't know how it'll do for a full novel, but like off the bat, I really enjoyed the actual prose of this very, very much. So I'm intrigued by that. And then last, but definitionally not least, because I actually think this is going to be one of the next books I pick up, is Several People Are Typing by Calvin Kasulka. Mostly because this is told in Slack messages. So it's like, it's what my brain can handle right now. So I was definitely getting into it. It has some humor to it. I am a fellow office drone sitting in front of my work computer, about to get my day started with some coffee. So relatable content. And I think just the format of this is something that my brain can deal with right now. So I actually think this might be one of my next reads. So yeah, there you go. So I feel like that was a very worthwhile project, just to get sort of like a temperature check on the writing, and to get kind of just initial impressions of some of these books so that I have a better idea of when I might want to pick some of them up. Some of them, I will say, were kind of on the bubble of getting unhauled. So let me know if you guys would be interested in me doing a like read until I'm done kind of vlog for those. I probably had 5 or 6 of those that I was like, oof, this could kind of go either way, and I'll just defer to leaving it on for now. So if you guys would be interested in sort of a ruthless chopping block kind of read until I'm not interested vlog again, let me know that. I enjoy doing those, and I feel like you guys like watching me be ruthless. So let me know if you guys are in the mood for more of that. And yeah, I think you guys are seeing, this is one of the first videos I think you guys are seeing when I come back from my break. So, hi. Hope you guys didn't think I left you forever. And yeah, let me know what you thought about any of the books I talked about. Let me know how you're doing, because it's been a while. It's been a while. And yeah, I think that'll do it for me. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, follow me on the social medias if you are so inclined. I'm not there very often these days, but who knows? Maybe I'll return more in the future. And yeah, that will do it for me. Hope you're having an absolutely lovely day today, and I will just talk to you soon. Bye!